This entire part will cover crashes from one group of people and will serve as an example with tons of reasons of why you should not downsize too quickly. Their group consists of 20 self-taught pilots and none of them has had any speed flying lessons. As one states, they have a few skydivers, a few paragliders and the rest are just extreme sport enthusiasts. Seriously, those guys feel nothing and they downsize so fast that they are playing with death every time their feet leave the ground. And they are aware of that. Some of them were flying sizes of wings after just a few months without any background that I have not even had the courage to try once until today, after thousands of speed flights in my 5 years of flying. Sorry guys, I'm not trying to be rude, but just real. And also, I want everyone in the comments to stay nice and respectful. Those people decided to share their errors so that others can learn from them. So any rude comments will just be deleted. If you want to have a long life, learn from the mistakes of those people and progress safely under instruction and with the correct progressions.
Into the wind. Oh my god, that's scary. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow! Go for it.
The person who crashes in this clip is not the one we see take off now,
Lean forward,
but still something to learn already here. You can clearly see that this person has no idea of what she is doing. I bet this was one of her first flights, if not the first one, as the pilot who filmed is telling her step by step what to do and she has zero control over the glider. First mistake we can see is she's applying way too much brake. The wing did not have the time to get above her head. Also, she's not releasing the brakes and has the hands way too low, probably near the stall point, which is always dangerous. If she did this on another wing, she would have fallen from the sky already with hands that low on the brakes. What we can see is also that the wing is controlling her and not she the wing. She's just being dragged into the direction where the wing is leading her and is not able to countersteer. Before landing, the pilot saw that one of his friends crashed.
coming down.
His friend has done or tried his first ever barrel roll that flight. He wanted to make a second one but ended up crashing into the ground. One thing I have to say here is I'm completely against these type of approaches to the sport. Self-taught without any paragliding backgrounds. But please, if you're gonna do it anyways, at least stick to the basics and avoid any dangerous maneuvers that will sooner or later guarantee you a crash or death. Like I said in this video, there are a few things speed flyers need to avoid if they want to make the sport much safer. Those things are barrel rolls close to the ground, cliff launches, turns at the landing that are bigger than 90 degrees, and definitely never rush downsizing. I can't imagine how you can even think about making your first ever barrel roll attempt close to the ground. After months of learning the basics on a paragliding wing, which is how it should be done the safest way, it still took me over a month and several flights to learn my first barrel roll high up in the sky. I know of some friends of mine too that needed weeks of practice for being able to make one high in the air, not even talking about trying your first one close to the ground. Now to the POV of the injured pilot. He is steering his wing with the rear risers, making steep turns, which was his barrel roll attempt, with his rear risers but with trimmers closed. Considering the general experience of this group, this is never a good idea, as with trimmers closed it's very easy to stall your wing when you pull on the C risers, and you have much less range to pull. If you're not a pro that knows his wing perfectly, I would only fly with rear risers if trimmers are open. Because of making a steep turn instead of a real barrel roll with correct inputs, he crashed into the ground. At least he switched to the brakes before impact, which is the correct thing to do to slow down impact speed and also make you recover faster from a dive to get your wing above your head faster. Even though I don't think this was made intentionally and was probably just coincidence. This pilot is a skydiver and downsized too quickly. He was used to fly an 11-meter wing and has borrowed for this day an 8-meter wing from his friend. If you're not into the small wings, you may think like, yeah, not a great deal if I'm just testing it. But really, after 11 meters, every single square meter makes a huge difference. It's not like going from a 13 to an 11. Last year I was flying an 11-meter speed wing comfortably, and when I first, and still haven't redone it till today, tried a 9-meter speed wing, I've shit my pants during the flight. Everything is so reactive, every small weight shift input input brings extremely fast reactions and the stall point is super sensitive. Jumping from 11 meters to 8 meters is crazy, even if you just want to test it. It's so much more reactive, you can't compare it with what you were flying before. That's also what got him to crash. Those small wings are way too sensitive to every little impulse you give. First thing we can learn from this takeoff is that you should remain in standing position for a while after takeoff, in case you have to run again if you get sink, which you can see happened here and could happen again at this point. Also, jumping into the harness with so much force will make you lose more altitude right after takeoff where you still haven't gathered enough speed. You can see this was a close call, he nearly bumped into the terrain after jumping into the harness with such a force. What made him crash in the end was always the same thing. Too less experience, probably no background experience as most of the group have none, and downsizing way too quickly. You can see that even on the easiest straight flights he manages to overreact with movements, which as I said is very common and will always happen if you fly wings that are too small for your experience level. The pilot flew on an 11-meter Rapido 3 and stated that this was the flight that made him buy an emergency parachute that night. He misjudged wind and weather conditions, as there was no wind at the top. Here you can see why it's always a good idea to have an emergency parachute with you. The conditions he's flying in are extremely turbulent. He even gets a small front collapse on the Rapido 3, which is considered one of the most stable high-performance speed wings out there. Active piloting skills really help in these situations. You can see that the wing is shooting forward. This would have been the right moment to give a stronger brake input to prevent the glider from overshooting you, which he is not doing. Of course it's not easy to do on an 11-meter wing, because everything happens so fast, so that's just a theory. Because of not enough brake input and the wing going way too much in front of the pilot, the wing gets a small front collapse that luckily opened immediately after. The whole flight was going like this. You can see how much the wing is moving because of the turbulent air. Takeaway here is to always bring an emergency parachute, as you never know what may happen. You can misjudge wind conditions and face sudden turbulent air, rotors or a strong thermal, even if it doesn't look that bad at the takeoff. Everyone that has already been in a flight like this one knows how scary it is. You'll be happy to bring an emergency parachute after you face your first flight like this.
That was one motherfucking sketchy run. That was fucking sketchy. That was pretty fucking terrifying if I'm being honest. That was weird considering there's no fucking wind today. Yeah, that was genuine. That was a fucking scary run.